This is Weekends with Alex Witt, April 13, 2019.
We're going to take this conversation right now to Democratic Congressman Ted Lieu, who's a member of the Judiciary and the Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, always good to see you. Right now, let's get to this. The question on the new Ways and Means Committee ban on taxes. We're guessing you're not going to see the president's returns by the April 23rd deadline. So realistically, is there any viable path to getting them?
Thank you, Alex, for that question. I would be very surprised if the White House complied with this request. They have been stonewalling every single congressional request, and that is unheard of with any administration. There's a difference, though, with this request. The law actually says that if the House Ways and Means Chairman requests these tax returns, then the IRS shall provide it. That's what the law says. We believe the courts will enforce the law, and we believe we will get his tax returns.
But what is all this hullabaloo over the definition of the word shall? I mean, does it make any sense to you?
I am a recovering lawyer, but I can tell you that shall means shall. It means that the IRS must do this. They cannot simply violate the law. The law is very clear, and the House Ways and Means Committee chairman is entitled to these tax returns under the law. If the administration doesn't like it, they got to try to change the law.
Okay. Let's get to the reports now, sir, that the president offered a pardon to the acting DHS chief if he encountered any legal problems as a result of closing the southwestern border. The president, of course, denies that this happened, but I know you tweeted about the implications of these reports for possible impeachment proceedings, as well as for the Judiciary Committee's investigation. Can you expand on that?
I'm happy to do so. On the Judiciary Committee, we are currently investigating attacks on the rule of law by Donald Trump, including issues such as dangling pardons, obstruction of justice, witness tampering. And we're going to conduct this investigation. We're going to gather documents, interview witnesses under oath. And at the end of the day, we're either going to exonerate Donald Trump or we're not. And then we're going to have a conversation with the American people after we've done this investigation. Certainly what Donald Trump is alleged to have done by telling a federal employee to violate the law and then he was going to give him a pardon, we're going to certainly investigate that to see if in fact that happened.
One thing the president did confirm yesterday, that as a way to get back at Democrats, his administration is considering dumping undocumented immigrants in sanctuary cities. I want your reaction to this.
So why is the president all of a sudden tweeting about this crazy idea? I think it's to distract from the fact that he has a failed immigration policy. He has a failed healthcare policy. Right now, he is in court trying to eliminate pre-existing conditions healthcare coverage for Americans. So I think that's why he's just bringing up this idea at this moment in time. And the idea itself seems to show that he doesn't really understand how many sanctuary jurisdictions there are. It's not just California. You have states such as Colorado, Iowa, Florida, Pennsylvania, Georgia. They have sanctuary jurisdictions. So this is going to cost a lot of money shifting these people all around the United States, and it's going to go all over the United States. It really is a crazy idea.
Yeah, money that would come from what? Let's say ICE, which is already not funded to the extent that they wish they were. I mean, where would the money even come from?
Yeah. I don't know where the money would come from. And if you were to simply watch how some Republicans talk about sanctuary cities, it seems like they don't understand the concept at all. It's not saying that if you are undocumented and you commit a crime that you're not going to be prosecuted and put in jail. You will. It simply says that the prosecutors and law enforcement are not also then going to take an additional step and refer you to ICE. That's the only difference. And the reason we want to do that is because it encourages witnesses who've seen crimes, witnesses who've seen other things that are bad that have happened to go to law enforcement without fear that they might get deported.
Yeah, it sounds like the left hand doesn't know what the right's doing on this one. But anyway, let's move on to the Mueller report, which, as you know, we are expecting the redacted copy from AG Bill Barr within a few days from now. But set the stage for me for a legal fight for the unredacted version. Let's take a listen to what Judiciary Committee Chair Jerry Nadler is saying about that.
Congress has need of the entire report, including the grand jury material, including all the anything, including everything. And I presume we're going to get the redacted report within a week. When we do so, if we don't get everything, we will issue the subpoena and go to court.
So do you think the issuing of that subpoena is inevitable now?
Depend on what it is we actually get from Bill Barr. I do want to say with every passing day, I become more and more disappointed with Attorney General Bill Barr. He is going from what I thought he was, an independent thinker, to now what looks like simply a pawn of the president. He knows, for example, that it's the Justice Department's mission to defend laws in court. Yet he's doing the bidding of the president by trying to eliminate the Affordable Care Act in court. He also used the word spying when he talked about what was authorized surveillance by 4 FISA judges who also happen to be Republicans in terms of issuing these surveillance warrants. And then he's now saying to Congress he's not going to provide the full Mueller report. That's not acceptable. We had 420 members of Congress on a bipartisan basis vote to say we want to see the full Mueller report.
Yeah, unanimously so. Deputy AG Rod Rosenstein, though, talked about this in an interview with the Wall Street Journal. And he defended Bill Barr's handling of the Mueller report. And he said he's being as forthcoming as he can. And so this notion that he's trying to mislead people, I think, is just completely bizarre. First of all, you surprised to hear Rosenstein take Barr's side? And, you know, based on Rosenstein and your experience with him, are you inclined to believe him?
Right. I am surprised by Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein's remarks, because if you look at the public reporting, you had members of Robert Mueller's own team basically expressing discomfort and somewhat alarm at the way that Bill Barr characterized the Mueller report in his very brief 4-page summary. So we have to see what the full report is. Congress is entitled to all the information. I understand the Department of Justice has their own internal policies and regulations, but those don't apply to Congress. Under the separation of powers, the framers gave Congress the sole power to impeach the president. And for us to make that decision, we actually need to see all the evidence. The White House and executive branch can't hide that from Congress. It would violate the separation of powers.
I have got to ask you about the House Judiciary Committee's hearing on white nationalism and that clip of you and Candace Owens. I mean, you've seen it. It has racked up millions of views now on social media. And for our viewers who didn't see it, here's a quick reminder of what went down. Here it is.
I don't know Miss Owens. I'm not going to characterize her. I'm going to let her own words do the talking.
Whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler. You know, he was a National Socialist, but if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. Problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany.
He's trying to present as if I was launching a defense of Hitler in Germany, when in fact the question that was asked of me was pertaining to whether or not I believed that Hitler was whether or not I believed in nationalism, and that nationalism was bad. And what I responded to was that I do not believe that we should be characterizing Hitler as a nationalist. He was a homicidal, psychopathic maniac that killed his own people. A nationalist would not kill their own people.
I'm curious about how this all played out. Were you expecting the way it did?
Thank you, Alex, for that question. This was a very serious House Judiciary Committee hearing on white nationalism. The point I was trying to make is that the Republican Party gets to select their own witnesses, and of all the people they could have picked, they picked Candace Owens, who had been criticized earlier this year for making those exact statements about Hitler. So my point was about really the Republicans who happened to choose her of any other witness they could have. And if you see the rest, actually, of my questioning, I moved on to policy responses as how we can tamp down and address white nationalism.
One more question for you before we let you go. Pretty top story this weekend would be the controversy surrounding Congresswoman Ilhan Omar's comments and the president using 9/11 footage to go after her. What is your position on both of their actions?
Rep. Omar is getting death threats. Last week, a man was charged criminally for threatening to kill her. The President of the United States understands the weight of his own words. It is wrong and it is dangerous for the President to try to incite violence against Rep. Omar. He needs to take down his pinned tweet right now.
Democratic Congressman Ted Lieu, thank you so much as always.
Thank you.
Changing his tune, why the president is now distancing himself from WikiLeaks.